So there's reports on how AI will be regulated. It's not looking so good.
As we speak, some of the wealthiest people in the country are trying to determine what to do in regard to AI and regulations pertaining to AI. Now, while certain members of Congress are thinking about potential regulations, you have the developers of this technology basically lobbying pretty hard to play a big role in how those regulations are shaped. So look, one side are the tech lobbyists, okay? They don't want politicians in the United States to do anything.
Yeah, man. Honestly, we can't even like put in proper regulations. We're making Earth unlivable. So I don't know, like what we're gonna do with AI. We can't even figure out how to properly like put in the right regulations so we don't destroy our environment. So it's
Really, when it comes to AI related regulations. On the other side, you have some, believe it or not, philanthropists who are genuinely worried about AI and how it could potentially pose an existential threat to humanity. So let's start with the lobbyists. Let's give you the information about them. The LA Times reported that technology interests, especially OpenAI, the nonprofit with a subsidiary for-profit corporation that created ChatGPT, have gone on the offensive in Washington, arguing for regulations that will prevent the technology from posing. I can't believe they actually reported this with a straight face. Technology from posing an existential threat to humanity. Right, yeah, that's what the technology interests are doing right now. They're lobbying hard for regulation. If you believe that, I've got a bridge to sell you.
yeah, bro. That's honestly, I don't even know how we're gonna do this. Like, oh man.
Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Like, who raises their hand and says, "Mommy, mommy, I want more rules"? Like, they don't want rules. They don't want regulations. Like that's insane. But anyway, let me continue. So AI companies are spending money to ask politicians, in my opinion, to not meaningfully regulate.
Yeah, dude, I ain't gonna lie. Lobbying is straight up corruption, bro. Like, it's one of the worst things in our country. Like, I don't know how we haven't figured out anything around that, but it has caused so much issues in our country. It's like one of the biggest, it's the root of corruption in our country, dog. We really need to figure out how to, like, I don't even know. We need to really figure out how to just get rid of some of the shit that goes on in lobbying, bro. It's destroying this country.
But these companies expect some kind of return on their investment, right? So that's really all you need to know. It's not that these executives are bad guys. It's that they're driven by incentives, and the incentive here is profit. But nonetheless, Sam Altman, OpenAI's 38-year-old chief executive, has met with at least 100 lawmakers in Washington recently, and OpenAI is on the hunt for a chief congressional lobbyist. A source familiar with the lobbying activity of these AI companies told the LA Times that their efforts are already paying off.
And on top of that, like some of the people that are like in there in Congress are like 90 years old, bro. Like, I don't even know if they know what type of regulations to put in place for AI. So that's scary as well, because like the people in there barely know how to use Facebook. So you know what might happen.
So the source's conversations with Washington insiders revealed a deference to Altman. I've had multiple senior individuals in Washington, people who are listening to members of Congress say something to the effect of, well, Sam seems like a good guy and he certainly came off well in the hearing, so maybe we just let it play out.
I ain't gonna lie, I don't know if there's in place, like if it exists, but we need like a separate whole agency of like dealing with tech, corporations and stuff. Cause like a lot of times it's very confusing. A lot of our like politicians are very old and don't know like how to deal with this at all. So like we need like, I don't know if it already exists, but there needs to be like a whole separate agency that regulates like tech corporations and companies. Cause like look at what like social media is in terms of like selling your data and all kinds of shit and causing all kinds of addictive behaviors into social media. Like we need like a whole separate agency that just deals with that.
Listen, guys, let's just
put like a bunch of nerds in there.
wrap this up. There's going to be no regulation. Okay, let's just wrap this up. Like, I don't want to have endless conversations about like, oh, what's the government going to do to make sure that we're protected from the potential, side effects of this technology. They're not going to do anything.
So I think that you're very likely right about the government, but you're going to be shocked to find out that on this one, I'm not as skeptical as you are about the executive's interest, and I'll tell you why. Because normally I'd say, what are we joking? Like, nobody's interested in the general welfare, they're interested in an extra buck, right? And so the idea that ExxonMobil is giving money to politicians for the general good is hilarious, right?
Yeah, corporations are in their own way an AI. Like it's like controlled by like bunch of people, different types of people, all like have one incentive, and it's to like make profit. That's it.
So, but in this case, they know that greed can drive people to write a program that is too aggressive, right? So once you give artificial intelligence a certain goal, it doesn't think like a human. It just says execute the goal. It just
Yeah. It's scary in how like AI like thinks. Like
finds creative ways to execute it, but you have to build in morality. Like, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. But that morality sometimes, when it comes to AI, can cost money, or can make it harder to get to your ultimate goal.
Yeah, like in AI can think of different ways we can't think of. So like even if once you give it a goal, right, and you tell it to accomplish that goal, even if you put in some guardrails, it's so like intelligent that it can figure out ways around that guardrail that humans could not even like see. You know what I'm saying? Like that's some of the scary things about AI. It's just way smarter than us.
So if they take out some of those safeguards, they might get to their goal of making more profit soon. But these executives might realize if you do that, we're all toast. That this is a really bad idea. To give you an extreme example, okay? This is what people are worried it's going towards. We did a story a couple of weeks ago about how the Pentagon ran simulations with AI and they told it to go destroy a target. And in the simulation, not in real life, they forgot to say, or they didn't say, hey, they said don't kill people. You're not allowed to kill these people to get to that goal of killing that person and that target, right? But AI figured out a way around it. They're like, okay, I'm not going to kill the people that are stopping me because humans are telling me not to do that. But my primary objective is to take out that target. So it took out the building that the humans were in.
Yeah.
So it didn't kill the humans that were telling it to stop, but it destroyed the building, right? Thank God it's a simulation. So
yeah, once you give it a goal, it will do anything to execute that goal. And once you give it intelligence, it'll just figure out all kinds of ways. Something we might not even foresee. You know what I'm saying?
So some of these people that are involved in AI go, this is pretty freaking dangerous, and we should be really careful. And greed is going to drive people to not be careful. So watch out.
Now, you'll be happy to find that while it is, in my opinion, very unlikely that Congress will do anything to regulate AI for ordinary people, they have managed to, pass some rules specifically protecting themselves. So let's talk about that.
Of course.
The House is imposing new guardrails on how its employees use large language models such as ChatGPT. Offices are only allowed to use ChatGPT Plus, which is a paid premium version that includes additional privacy features, which leads me to...
Bro, like this is why politicians, like there's an age limit for young people, but there's not age limit for like older people. Like if you're like 70 plus years old, bro, you're not gonna be able to keep up with things. You know what I'm saying? Like if you have like a younger person, I think like 40 years old, somebody around that age is well enough. But like once you get to certain ages, it's very difficult for you to keep up with new things. So like I don't know, bro. A lot of our politicians are 90 years old. So this shit is just, it might get bad.
Believe that they are fully informed on the fact that there are some privacy concerns when it comes to ChatGPT, but they're totally fine with it when it affects the general public.
Yeah, it's the most normal thing in the world. Like Dianne Feinstein didn't care at all that the government was using warrantless wiretapping on all American citizens. But the minute the CIA did wiretapping of the Senate, she was like, outrage. So that's how they normally operate.
Now, on the other side, you have incredibly wealthy philanthropists who are genuinely concerned about what they refer to as rogue AI, and they are really like in cahoots in trying to do something about it. So the Washington.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like I remember AI talk used to be like crazy, and now it's just like normal, like like news. You know what I'm saying? Like now this shit seems scary because it feels really real and it can like really happen.
Washington Post did a very lengthy report on this, and they referred to the wealthy tech philanthropists who have begun recruiting an army of elite college students to prioritize the fight against rogue AI over other threats. Open Philanthropy, a charitable organization started by billionaire Facebook co-founder Dustin Moskowitz, alone has funneled nearly $500 million into developing a pipeline of talent to fight rogue AI, building a scaffolding of think tanks, YouTube channels, prize competitions, grants, research funding, and scholarships, as well as a new fellowship that can pay student leaders as much as $80,000 a year, plus tens of thousands of dollars in expenses.
So if you look at the whole list of people that are chipping in money to that effort, you'll find a lot of bad guys like Elon Musk, but you'll find good guys too. So this is a rare thing that they share. And this comes from the Silicon Valley bubble where they're talking about things like this 24/7. And they think, oh my God, the most pressing issue for Americans is how we stop AI from winning 80 years from now. No, that's your most pressing issue because you're all already incredibly rich. And you've got these esoteric things to worry about.
Bro, I don't think it's even 80 years. They say like once like ChatGPT and stuff like that, like it's already created. Now like that shit is gonna accelerate like much faster. Like advancement in AI, and now it's just, and on top of that, you have like ChatGPT that's interacting with like not millions, I don't know if billions, but like across the whole world. It's getting smarter and smarter every single second and minute. So like it get out of control soon. Not even 80 years. Like it could be much closer than that. Who knows?
Now at the same time, I don't mind. I generally like the effort, and I'm not hating on it. And as I explained to you in the earlier story, things can get out of hand. And if you think it's bad that companies are going to want to compete and take out some of the guardrails, what do you think China and North Korea are going to do?
Yeah.
Or Iran is going to do, or any of these, Russia is going to do? They're going to take out all the guardrails. So we do have to get prepared for it. They're not wrong about that. But just finally, I'd say there probably is a better way to spend the $500 million in today's world. But it's a complicated issue, and let's hope that the people most concerned are not correct, and that this.
Yeah, I don't think, man. If we can't even like look at all the pollution we like release to our fucking air, like, and corporations have like destroyed all type of regulations into that. So like it's I feel like there's not gonna be much regulation. We're like, our politicians bend to the will of corporations all the time, so we might be toast.
This is easier to control than it looks, because otherwise we're headed towards troubled waters.